Carrie, and today we are going to be talking about my new tattoo. About 2 weeks ago, I went to a tattoo parlor here in Seoul and I got my second tattoo. And I know a lot of you guys are interested in tattoos. I wanted to take you along on the process, so let's go. I found Tattooist Chai on Instagram, which is where a lot of tattoo artists are active. I'll put the Korean hashtags down below as well if you want to just browse. It's totally dangerous. Found her on Instagram and I absolutely fell in love with her work. It's not usually my style, but something about it, like, I just really connected with it. And I think with my first tattoo, I knew exactly what I wanted and I didn't necessarily need a particular artist. But for this one, I felt a connection to the artist as well as the meaning of my tattoo. So it kind of made it extra special. So I emailed her about a month in advance because she's getting relatively popular now on Instagram. And when you message her, you need to send her obviously the size, the coloring that you want, including if you just want it black, example photos. Try and basically give her the best idea possible going forward because she sketches this just all from everything that you give her. So if you give her nothing, she's not gonna know what to do. So I sent her the sizing, the coloring, pictures of her tattoos that she had already done, which I really enjoyed the style of and I wanted something similar, and then real life physical pictures of what I wanted, along with the meaning behind why I wanted this tattoo. I got a flower, but I'll go into the meaning at the end of the video. But yeah, it's basically a flower. So the day of, we went to her studio. My mom came with me. The stairway up to the studio was really dark and scary, but when we got in, it was really bright and clean, which is important, and just like filled with plants and her artwork, and it felt really cozy. And the second we walked in, she started to play Hyako. And I was just like, this is where I'm meant to be right now. We basically just sat down and she pulls out her iPad and she has a ton of flowers for me to choose from. She basically just sketched probably 20 to 25 different styles. To be more specific, I got a poppy. So she did it like some poppies that were a little bit closed, some that were wide open, some that were like half and half, blah, blah, blah. I was able to just sit down and talk with her about, okay, like I like this bud, but I really like this stem. And she was able to just cut and paste and really work with me. I was super picky about the length of the stem for some reason. I don't know why. And you totally should be. Like if you're putting this on your body permanently, like be picky about it. The tattooist would be much more appreciative if they felt that you were sure about what you were getting before they did it. She was just really cool and it was fun to be able to talk with her about it and pick from so many different choices. I had no idea she would make that many. Once we had finally decided, she printed out a bunch of different sizes. Even though I had already talked to her about size before, she kind of wanted to give me a lot of options, and thank God she did because I ended up getting it quite a bit bigger than I expected I would. Once we got what we wanted, she transferred it and we were ready to go. So she went off and mixed the colors, and she basically told me that they're gonna get a lot lighter, so she was gonna do it a little bit darker, like a shade or two darker than what I wanted the end result to be. Kind of a bummer because I actually grew to really love the darker version. I love it lighter now, and it's just funny that I ended up growing to like the dark ones. And then she set me up on her table. So I was a little confused at first because she uses the hashtag hand poke. I wasn't excited about hand poke. That's for sure, because hand poke, if you don't know, is like you literally just have the needle and it's like wrapped to a piece of wood or something and you just hand poke it. I loved her art so much that I was willing to do the hand poke. I didn't choose her because she was a hand poke artist, just to put that out there. But it turns out didn't happen. What she does is she uses one needle like you would with hand poke instead of kind of the bundle of needles that most large tattoo guns use. She uses one needle in a gun. So it's not hand poke, but she's able to do really, really detailed lines. So that's why mine is so thin and her artwork is very, very small lines. She loaded up the gun and we were off. And this is where it gets kind of funny because I don't remember how painful my other tattoo was, which I'll show you in a second. I don't remember it being painful, more like a static shock, but then you just hold it for a long time. But with her tattoo, I legitimately didn't think she had started tattooing me. She said like, okay, we're going, and I could see a little ink, like, because it kind of like fizzes out, but I could not feel it. I absolutely did not feel the needle. I don't know if it was a different placement, if it was just because she used one needle. I'm not really sure, but it was 100% painless, except for she went over a couple parts twice, and that's when it kind of started to hurt, but it more felt like, you know how like a rug burn feels? It feels like a rug burn, but only in like the area of like a needle point. So it's a very small pain, and in total, I think the process took less than 10 minutes because my tattoo was so small. I don't know about hand poke, but the single needle, I didn't feel a thing. After that, she walked me through my aftercare. She put a lot of Vaseline on me, took a few pictures because she posts them on her Instagram, which I will link down below. And then I was pretty much on my way. She wrapped me up and I was done. There was minimal redness, no swelling. I didn't see any blood. That was it. As far as communicating with her, she says that she can't speak English well, but she totally could speak English. But just for her comfort, she spoke in Korean with me because I let her know that was okay. But when we were communicating, once we needed to go like quickly back and forth, she just naturally switched into English. So she can email very well in English, and her speaking was completely fine in English. She sent me all of the care information, the aftercare, in English as well. And bonus, she's fluent in French, so any French speakers can communicate really easily with her. She studied in France. It was just a really, really lovely process. I really appreciated that. Like after she finished, I loved it, so I was like, I said thank you, and immediately she said, oh no, thank you, to me, which I was super touched by because like it definitely felt kind of like a collaborative art project. She gets to practice her craft on people's bodies, so she like needs us and we need her. So I don't know, it just felt really cool. And she actually doesn't have any tattoos, which I found to be so funny, but she was basically like, yeah, I worry a lot about it, so I like have never gotten one. I had a lot of fun and I'm really happy with the result. So now for what I actually got. I have had tattoo ideas floating in my head. Some have been around since like 8th grade, and this is one of them. I got a golden poppy. I was born and raised in California, and the golden poppy is the state flower. They grow wild there. It's illegal to pick them. It's great. And whenever I'm in California, I feel so much more relaxed and inspired. I feel like I don't know, my brain just feels really good on the West Coast. And I think a lot of you guys commented that when you watched my like home video about how I seemed a lot more relaxed. And it's true, there's just something about California that, I don't know, does it for me. And so I got a golden poppy to kind of keep a piece of that with me all the time so I can look down and hopefully feel a little bit inspired. And the reason I felt so connected to Tattooist Chai's work, I'm actually not sure of the reason, but the way that I would describe her work is as if you tied pencils to tree branches and the trees blew in the wind and they drew. That's the image that I get when I see her work. It just, to me, feels very, very light. It gives me a very similar feeling that I get when I think about California. So I thought it was perfect to pair her artwork with that memory or that feeling. And yeah, that is the result. It is a golden poppy. A lot of her other work looked much more like a golden poppy because a lot of times they are much more closed. But for some reason, I just really liked this open one. So yeah, that is what I got. As for my first tattoo, it was my first tattoo, so I was much more in control, much more nervous, and I got a knot on the back of my neck, my back, my upper back, and it is inspired by a character in the Haruki Murakami novel Dance, Dance, Dance. and the character is the sheep man. The sheep man lives in the main character's subconscious, and his job is to basically tie knots whenever something important happens in this person's life. Like if they meet someone important, or they fall in love, or they go on some adventure or whatever. The sheep man ties all these knots in this main character's subconscious, and those knots or those memories or those moments hold this person together. And the idea of that, memories are what keep us whole and what make us us and what keep us together. So it was the very end, probably the last month that I was in Korea after my study abroad, and it was still is the absolute best time of my entire life. I met so many amazing people, had so many crazy things happen to me, like just the most wonderful experience of my life. And I knew that those memories would get me through anything. They'd hold me together no matter what life threw at me. And so to kind of remember them, remember all my friends and all those moments, I tied a knot just like the sheep man would. Because I knew exactly what I wanted, I pretty much just looked up a very classic nautical tattoo, and I went to Sunrat in Hongdae. They're quite well known, and they are known for the very classic American style, kind of like a little bit biker, a little bit like nautical. I was able to more or less just walk in and have this guy do it. We didn't really collaborate, but I still love it very, very much. So yeah, those are my tattoos in Korea. I have never been tattooed outside of Korea. So if you are interested in getting a tattoo in Korea, and I'm sure you have a list of your favorites on Instagram if you are considering it already, be sure to message them at least a month in advance, especially the more popular artists. They are booked. A lot of times these artists are also like students or have other jobs, so they don't have just like the full day to tattoo. As far as negative experiences, I personally have never had them. Most of my coworkers have tattoos. When I got a tattoo, my CEO was like, "Oh my god, that's so cool." I've gone to spas here before, and although mine is relatively small, I did have a full body scrub, so like she saw every inch of me, and she didn't say anything. There was not a single comment made. However, I'm not a teacher, so I don't know about the rules with covering up. I've heard that you basically just need to cover it with a band-aid or sleeves or makeup or something like that. But yeah, it's very, very popular for the younger generation. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. If any of my family members are watching, please don't show this video to Grammy. She's the only person I worry about when I think of who might not like my tattoos. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please, please, if you have tattoos or if you have tattoo ideas, please share them down below. As far as if I'm getting another one or not, I only really have one other tattoo idea that I have thought about for over a decade, and I would consider getting. We'll see. Hopefully not within this year. Maybe next year you'll see another tattoo video. Who knows? So yeah, hope you found this helpful. Please leave your stories down below, and I absolutely love hearing about people's tattoo stories. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Thanks as always for watching. Bye!